My name is Shubham Shah, and I live in Australia. Well, actually, I got started when I wanted to beat my brother in games. I was a terrible gamer. I never did well, and the primary motivation was to beat him. I started hacking games when I was very young. From there, it led into other things, and primarily web application security a little bit later. And I think it was the age of 13 or 14 where I actually really started. But I must have been tampering with things at the age of 10 or 11. So I do it full time, but I started a company due to bug bounties. Bounties. I do a lot of reconnaissance. That's what I'm known for in bounties. What ended up happening is I found that I needed to beat all these other hackers that are so good at it. It got to a point where I started developing automation and tools and so forth, just to be ahead of everyone else. Bounties are amazing. I do it full time. I've been doing it for a year and a half full time, but at this point I'm starting a company up and I'm actually using bounties as a test bed for the entire platform that I'm building. So it's really awesome. I do bounties full time, but I am switching over to running my company Assetnote in the future. I hack because I genuinely enjoy the rush of breaking into a system where there has been significant effort to protect an organization. I hack because it's a mental challenge that can be solved. Hacking is one of the best things that I know, which lets me take something apart completely, understand how it works, completely own it, and get paid for it. So it's a really good job to have because it's my primary hobby as well. It's pretty tremendous. It's obviously a lot of adrenaline, and it rushes through. The first thing I ask myself is, have I gone to the furthest point possible and required? And if that's the case, and I know this is the time to stop, I submit it in, and I'm stoked. Patiently waiting for the report to get resolved. To me, it means someone who wants to take something apart, understand it, and figure out what's wrong with it, figure out how to fix it, and advise on how to fix it. I think it can be, it doesn't even have to be breaking, it could be building, but in my ideology of a hacker, hacking is actually freedom. I don't like when things are closed. I don't like it when I don't understand how it works and how I can break it. I always want to be able to understand, break, and move forward, not backwards. Lots and lots of amazing hackers, very multicultural. I can actually understand a lot of things, a lot of cultures from all over Europe, America, Australia, everywhere, basically. Some of the flags I have to spend a second thinking about what country that flag is from, but awesome event, good support, and don't have anything to complain about. Just sitting in a room with a bunch of good hackers and hacking, getting into hyperfocus. For me, that's the most important part, but doing it with other people, that's even better. It gives me a really good opportunity to kind of see where I'm at as a hacker. It gives me a good benchmark, really. I know that all of our skills are very different, and for different events, these skills, they vary for what's actually required. But for the most part, these events, they give me access to a bunch of great hackers, a great team that's triaging, and an insight to what's happening in the back, which you don't normally have when you're just bounty hunting at home. You don't have a team you can go to and say, hey, look, I've got this. Can you explain why this is happening and investigate further? It lets you go much more in depth than just sitting at home doing testing. Being a part of the hacker community is a little bit interesting. We've got all sorts of people, and we accept almost everyone basically. So I appreciate that about the hacker community. But being a part of the hacker community, to me, honestly, I focus on the technical things a lot, and for me, anyone that tells me a good technical bug, I already have a lot of admiration for. I love hearing stories. I love hearing people's own battle stories of how they got from point A to point B, and I learn from it. So that's the most important thing. It's what I think, being a part of a community and a hacker community is. teaching each other, basically. Information is free. The more you teach, the more you'll learn, the more you'll remember. And the only reason I'm so successful is because I incorporate that into my day-to-day life. One of my biggest tips that I've been saying for quite some time now for reconnaissance is using Google BigQuery to generate word lists that are evolutionary. I've released one tool already, Common Speak, and in the future we'll be releasing the second iteration of it. Basically what it does is it generates word lists in a fashion that is evolutionary, in the fashion that, all right, well this month everyone on GitHub, all of the code which is public gets indexed, and we can query all of it to see what's new, what's changed. Technologies are rapidly changing. We're using word lists that have been generated years and years before. If we're not keeping up with these changes, then we're not actually getting better at reconnaissance. So Common Speak is a tool that helps you automate that entire process. It actually generates these word lists for you, cleans them up to some extent, and lets you use them in your reconnaissance flow. Okay. I think it'd have to be I do really love the hoodies. It would have to be the hoodies. Actually, in the past I ran a HackerOne event where it was like a bug bounty simulation, and I got a bunch of swag from HackerOne and gave it out to all the people. And I didn't keep anything for myself because I wanted to give it all out to the winners. I've wanted a hoodie for many, many years, and since the beginning of HackerOne, when I started, and I finally got one at the Amsterdam event. So it took me that long, but I finally have one, so I cherish it. At the moment, it's the financial incentive. I think that I am able to make much more money on HackerOne than other platforms. Then again, it isn't to say that I haven't spent time on other platforms. I have, but I just haven't found many programs on other platforms that suit exactly what I want, which is a solid triage team, solid turnaround times, and the ability to have a very big scope. Scope is super important to me. On HackerOne, I can find a lot of places with amazing scopes, and they pay really well. Well, obviously Nafi. My username is not Nafi. He is the reason why I'm, really got into bounties to start with. Other than that, it's Matthias from Sweden, and a few others as well from there. Lots of hackers that do inspire me. A lot of them I've met through HackerOne or through these events, or just have become really good friends with them on the internet, and then finally met them in real life. All the hackers I respect are my good friends.